What's up guys, Brennan here. The day has finally arrived. This is going to be part 2 for Howl's Moving Castle piano tutorial. I'm super excited to show you guys this one. Before we get into it, don't forget to click that subscribe button. It helps me out as a small creator here on YouTube, and it also helps you guys out because then you don't miss out on any of my future piano tutorials, piano covers, and educational videos. Alright, so before we get into it, I'm just going to play the entire arrangement that you're going to be learning in today's video. So we're going to start with the first section here in the right hand. You're going to have your thumb here on D, pointer finger on G, middle finger on B flat, and pinky on D. So that's going to go. You might recognize this from the earlier tutorial. It's a similar part. So it's. Then you hit this one again, and you go D, C, B flat, A, B flat. So that's now your thumb moves up here to G, and you go G, B flat, D, G. So that's now at this point I kind of switched to my third finger. I was playing this with my pinky, and you go G, G, A, F, D sharp, F. So just to go over that again, it's okay. Then you go A, D, F, A. So that's thumb on A, pointer finger on D, F, A, and then you go immediately to G. So it's, okay, try that with me. And then you go, so that's F, E, D sharp, E, and then you skip up to G, F. So it's, try that with me, starting on F, F, E, D sharp, E, G, F. Let's try that together. Then you go, so that's fourth finger on E, D, C sharp, and then you go back to D. So it's, and then you go C, it's, and then you go B, C sharp, D. So this is a little tricky. You're gonna have to practice this a bit, but just go over that last little part all together. It's so full speed, it should sound like this. Feel free to pause the video and practice that. Okay, so now we're going to learn the left hand for this part. So I'm just going to tell you right now, this is a lot of moving in the left hand, and it is going to take an ungodly amount of practice, at least for me. You know those songs that just really give you a hard time? That is the second part of this song for me, which is partly why it took so long to get you guys this tutorial. So just keep in mind you're going to have to practice the left hand a lot. So you start out by not playing anything in the right hand, and it goes like this. Okay? So that's G, and then you jump up to G, B flat, D, and play that twice. Then you move down to D, and you play this one again. G. So it's like da, 1, 2, switch, 1, 2, da, 1, 2, switch, 1, 2. You do that a total of 4 times. So first one, second one, first one, second one. Then you move to C, and then you do the same jumping pattern. So then you hit pinky with G, middle finger on B flat, and thumb on D sharp. So it's, then you do D, and then you go to F sharp, C, and D. So that's D. Okay, then you go back to this G1 that you played before. So it's pinky with G, and then these 3. And you repeat. All right, so from the top, this is what we've learned. C, D, G. Repeat G. Now we're going to move on to the next left-hand part. So then you go back to C, just like we learned, pinky with C, and then you jump up to G, B flat, D sharp. Okay? Now the second one changes. So instead of going to D here, you now jump down to pinky on A, and then you move up to these 2 keys, which is C and D sharp. And then the third one is pinky on B flat, and then you move to F, A, D, and you repeat that. So let's go over that second section again, starting here, C, down to A, these 2, B flat. Repeat. Now let's give ourselves a challenge and put both of these together. From the very beginning of the song, here we go. C, D, G. Repeat. C, switch, B flat. Then the last little part here that we're going to learn is you have your pinky. This is an entirely new part. Pinky on E, and then you jump up to pinky on G, middle finger on B flat, and thumb on D. So it's, and then you skip down to A, and then you play these 3. So that's pinky on E, middle finger on G, thumb on C sharp. So that's from the top. Then you go pinky on D, and then you play these 3, which is F, A, and D. So that's, then you move down to C and you play the second part the same. So it's D, C. So this is the same three that you're hitting. You're just changing this little part. And then you go B flat, and then you jump up to pinky on F, middle finger on B flat, thumb on D. Okay, then you go A, and then you play this one again, which is E, G, and C sharp. And that is it for that section. We're going to go over that last section again, and then I'm going to show you the entire left hand. Okay, so that last section is E, A, D, down to C, B flat, A, and then you're done. Okay, so let's put that whole section together from the very beginning. See how tricky it is? It has to move psychotically fast because you're almost changing the keys so much in the left hand. So feel free to pause this video and practice that for a couple days even, and then come back to this video. But now we're going to move on, for the sake of time, to putting both hands together here. Okay, so starting in the beginning, we don't play anything in the right hand, okay? So it's... Then this is where you come in the right hand. And then when you hit D in the right hand is when you start the C. So it's like this. D. Let's go over that again. At this point, we're going up to G with our pinky, and then we start the second round of C's. A, B flat, now when we go to A, this is when we start the E. Okay, now when we jump down to A, it goes like this. So that's, it's almost like the E goes on its own, and then it's F. Okay, so let's try that again. Then you immediately go into D when you hit G here. Then down to C. So that's C on its own, and then you go. So then this part is when you go. So that's. Try that with me. B flat. That goes into the next section. Okay, so I'm going to just slow this down, play through the whole thing so you can just watch my hands together. Here we go. goes into the next part. All right, so then the next part in the right hand is, so it ends off like here. And then it immediately goes into, so it's F sharp, G, A, F sharp, and then you go E, F sharp. So it's, that's how it is. And then left hand, you go pinky on D, and then you repeat it. So all together, that's, then it repeats. That's a little bit tricky. So in the left hand, all you're doing is, and then two more times. And then the right hand, you're going. Okay, so the timing is what is tricky about this part. So it's, one more time. Okay, then it goes immediately into the next part, which is the, okay, so in the right hand, so it's, and then it goes, so that's D, D sharp, and then it goes D, C, B flat, A. Then it's, so that's B flat, C, D, F. So starting from the top, it's D, D sharp, D, C, B flat, A, B flat, C, D, F. Without me talking. Then you go F, D sharp, D, C, B flat, C, D. So that's, all together. Okay, and then the left hand, you go, that's the first one, so it's F twice, then B flat, D sharp. Try that with me. And then you go F, C, D sharp. So, and then you go B flat, and then you jump up to F, A, D. Repeat. Then that whole thing repeats all together again. Okay, now let's put both hands together. So it's, so try that with me. So when you're hitting this key, D sharp, this is when you start on the F. So it's, then you go, so again, this is going to take a little bit of practice, so feel free to pause the video if needed. I'm going to go over this section one time, nice and slow. It goes immediately into the next part. So one thing to note is when you do this last one and you go into the next part, just know that it immediately goes from one part of the song to the next. So it's a little bit tricky to put all these parts together because then it immediately goes into the next one. So then you jump all the way up here in the right hand. I'm going to show you the right hand part. Okay, so it's starting with your middle finger on D. You go a little jazzy part where it's D, E, D, and C sharp. So it's D twice, and then you go down all three. Then you go from D to F. So try that. Try that with me. Then you go. So that's E, D, C sharp. And then you go. So that's C sharp, E, and A. Let's try that all together. Then it's A, and then you jump up to F and A. And you do that 3 times. Then you go pointing finger on E, D, C sharp. And then you go on a roll with your thumb on A, middle finger on E, and pinky on A. So all together. So then in the left hand, it is pinky with D. And then you jump up here to pinky on A, middle finger on D, and thumb on F. Then you repeat. Then you move up to pinky on E. And then you play pinky on A, middle finger on C sharp, and thumb on E. Repeat. And then you do that whole thing again, this one twice. Again. E. Again. That whole thing you repeat an entire time. So the full thing is like this. Back to D. E. Okay, so here we go. It's starting on the next part where you hit A, right? Remember you go, but you're still on this part in the left hand. So just keep that in mind. So let's go over it again. So then we get into a pretty tricky part in the left hand where it's okay, so we're going to start with the right hand. So you go from your thumb on A to F sharp, so it's so that's A, F sharp, G, A, B flat. So it's so you're playing the F sharp 3 times. So it's A, F sharp, da, 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 D. So then your thumb goes down to D. And then it's E, 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 F, G, A. So all together it's so after the D you go E, 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 F, G, A. Okay, so now we get into the left hand. So one thing I'm going to go ahead and break down for people is what I'm doing in the left hand is called an arpeggio. What that is it's a broken chord. What a chord is a group of 2 or more keys played at the same time. That's all a chord. I'm playing it at the same time, right? A broken chord is just that. It's broken up. So instead of going like this, I break it up. I can do that up and down the piano. But it's still just those 4 keys. So on the left hand, I'm doing a bunch of different chords that are broken up. So the first one that I do that is a broken chord is D. So all up and down the piano, I'm playing D, F sharp, A. What I usually do is I skip the F sharp and then I cross over and play that. So I go all I'm doing is playing D, F sharp, A, all up and down the piano. So here's how I do it. Pinky on D, A, D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, A, and I usually go back and forth between these two, right? So what I like to do is I go, okay? So I'm just going back and forth between these two. I just like to do that. And then I go from the D chord, now I do an arpeggio with a G chord. So then it's G. So the only 3 keys I'm hitting are G, B flat, D. And you can do any of these in any combination of ways, like how I skip the G sharp and then I just play it later. So I go G, D, G, B flat, D, G. Back and forth between those two. Okay? So try doing the D and then switching to the G. Then I switch. And you can go back and forth between these. You can go these. As long as it's those 3 keys, G, B flat, D. Doesn't matter. Okay? Then after you go to G, you go down to a C arpeggio. So the only 3 keys you're hitting are C, E, and G, all up and down the piano. Like I said, I skip that middle one, and I go C, G, C, E, G, C, E, and I can go back and forth between these. And then the last one that you do is F, F, A, C. Like I said, I skip the middle, and then I cross over and hit that middle one. So just have to visualize that you're only hitting those 3 keys. This is very tricky to get the hang of, so don't worry. It's just going to take a little bit of practice. So the chords, which we're breaking up, broken chord, right, arpeggio, starting on this one, down to C, and then F. So higher up, it would sound like this. So it's like this. Then C. So you almost have to keep count in your head, and I'm gonna explain this a little bit in my next part. Just watch me put both hands together, and I'll tell you when you need to switch from one arpeggio to the next one. So you start out like this. So when you hit F sharp, that's when you need to start on the D. So it's a little bit of a tricky timing because you're playing a lot in left hand, so I'm going to try and slow it down as best as I can. So it's then when I go to B flat, I need to now switch to G. Okay, I'm alternating differently. That's just how I do it. And then it's C. You move to C then when you hit the E. And then you move to F when you hit the A in the right hand. So watch me do it at full speed because this can kind of help get the timing of it. Because the thing you kind of need to pay attention to is think of the left hand kind of as just like filler. The thing that matters is the right hand, and you're just kind of putting in a lot of notes as like the filler. So what you don't need to alter at all is that right hand part, okay? So watch how I do it here. G, C, F. So I'm not even really paying attention to what I'm doing in the left hand. This is where the practice comes in, because as long as you're hitting those 3 keys, you can alternate up here, you can go back like this, you can go like this. As long as it's those 3 keys, it doesn't matter. Watch me do it one more time. Here we go. D, G, C, F. Okay? Then the next part immediately goes into okay? So that part in the right hand is, so that's G, F, E, and you go back and forth between D sharp and E, so it's, and then you go skip F and go G, F, E, so try that with me. Then you go, so that's D, C sharp, D, E. So try that part all together. Then you go A, C, then you go B flat A, G, F sharp. So it's, and then we do a little walk down where it's, so it's a little tricky. It's starting on C and you go C, D, C, B flat. Then you go B flat, C, B flat, A. So try that. Then you go G, A, G, F sharp. So it's, and then lastly, you skip down to D sharp and F sharp and you go D. So try that all together. Okay, and then the left hand is your pinky on B. And then you have your pointer finger on F sharp and A, so it's, and then you have your pinky jumping up to E, and then G sharp and B. So it's, okay, then you jump and you do your pinky on A, pointer finger on E, and thumb on A. Then you repeat it. Then you move to C, G, C, and you do this twice. go to pinky on D and middle finger on F sharp and thumb on D. And then you do this a bunch. So you're doing it 4 times total. 2, 3, 4. Let's practice that whole section all together. So let's put both parts together. Let's go over that part again. So it's so then it goes into a little part here, so I'll show you. So you're kind of slowing it down. This is the same as what we learned in section 1. Then you go. So exact same, I'm just slowing it down. So it's going to be the same in the left hand, what you played earlier, just slowing it down. So it's going to be pinky on C, right? D, G. Same like we learned. And then this is where it ends. You go all the way down to D and you do that same D arpeggio. D, A, D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, A, D. Okay, so all together nice and slow. That section would be the same as what we learned earlier. You're just slowing everything down. Same timing, same everything. So it's Okay, so now that we've ran through every single part of this song, I'm gonna play it through nice and slow so you can watch how each section goes from one right into the next section. Okay, so here we go from the top, nice and slow. Alright guys, and there you have it. That is the entire song of Howl's Moving Castle. Definitely just keep in mind that this song takes a lot of practice with that constant movement in the left hand. So I'm still at the point where I cannot play it perfectly, and I've been practicing it for a while. So just keep that in mind. Don't be too hard on yourself because this is a very difficult piece. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to create art, and I'll see you guys next time.